Have you ever struggled with the thought as an independent artist of, man, should I change my sound up a little bit so that I can appeal to more people and get more fans? Now, I know a lot of artists like to jump down to the comments and talk about how, no, I would never change my sound. I don't care whether anybody likes my music or not. And here's what I would say. You're either just a hobbyist, and so you don't really have any reason to participate in this conversation, or you're lying. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know that's kind of harsh to kick off the video, but a lot of artists like to pretend like if they're not getting success in their music business, that they can just go, well, I don't even care. I don't care about doing all that marketing stuff. I'm just going to be me, and then whatever happens, happens. That's a really fancy way of saying I give up, okay? Now, in today's video, I'm not going to tell you why you should change your sound, but actually how you can view things a little bit differently and start getting results and not have this resentment of, well, I'm just going to do whatever I want, and if people like it, they do, and if they don't, they don't. Because I'm telling you right now, that's a terrible mindset for your marketing, okay? Now, let me jump into the first misconception thing that we need to talk about, which is people think to be more marketable, I have to change my sound. But really the reality is you change your marketing to make your music more marketable. Let me say that again, because I know some people are like, wait a second, what? Yeah, you don't change your music to become more marketable. You change your marketing to make the music more marketable. Because a lot of artists do this. They say, if I'm not getting results, being who I am, just playing my music how it is, the reason I'm not getting success is because my music doesn't appeal to people. When that's actually usually not the case. It's not that your music doesn't appeal to people, it's that your marketing around your music does not appeal to other people. And so while other artists and musicians like to puff up their chest and say, well, I'm just a purist and I just, I do it for the love of the art, I'm like, if that was really the case, you wouldn't be trying to become a professional musician. You would just be a hobbyist, creating art in your basement and mesmerizing yourself at the art that you created. But that's not what people do. They put their music out there, they don't get as much traction as they like, and then they get resentful in the comments and just say, well, I'm not going to change myself for the industry. But what they're thinking about changing themselves as is, I'm not going to change my music and my art to appeal to more people. You'll hear phrases like, I'm not going to dumb down my music, and all this kind of crap. But here's the problem. That's looking at it the completely wrong way. Because if we focus on, no, listen, it's not that we're going to change your music. Your music is what makes you you. Your music is what defines you as an artist. So why would we want to change that to appeal to more people? Instead, how are we presenting the music in front of people? How are we marketing the music? Because I guarantee you that that is the problem. It's not your music most of the time, it's your marketing. Because even music that I objectively think is terrible, like the hardcore black metal stuff, I think that objectively sounds bad. But I know there's millions of people that love that sound. So I can't even tell you that it's like, well, it's because your music's not good, because that's a subjective thing. So what we need to really figure out is, what is the subjective view that likes my music? Let me elaborate on that a little bit. What is that view that we can get people who would be the best fit to like our music, to look at us and go, hey, that resonates with me. I want to listen to that music. That's drawing me to what I like. Because most of the time, the biggest issue artists are dealing with is that they're actually just not putting in the effort, not to make great music, because they're totally putting in effort to make great music, but they're not putting effort in to getting their music heard. I just don't understand this mindset of posting your song one time or just posting your music video over and over again and then like, I don't understand why it's not blowing up. Because this is not 2001. You need to create music that is true to you, but you need to present that music in a way that attracts the people you're trying to get to become fans of you in the first place. And so it's not about changing your sound, it's about changing the marketing around the sound, okay? I actually want to tell you a quick story to really solidify why this is a bad idea to change your sound, because I've seen bands do it in real time and totally ruin their career. So I forget the name of the original inception of this band, but when we toured with them, their name was Days of Heaven. and they were some of the coolest dudes, and they would always kick the show off with this hard rock song. And we're like, heck yeah. But then the rest of the set was kind of more alternative rock, slow, soft rock, and ballads. And it just seemed a little out of character. And so we started talking to them and becoming friends. And they were telling us, yeah, in our old band, we had more of that like hard rock sound that you hear in the first song of the set. And I think it might have been a song from that previous project. But then they went into the studio with a big-time producer who had worked with all these big people. And he said the phrase, guys, nobody listens to this kind of rock anymore. Like, they were big fans of the same kind of music I was a big fan of, like Alter Bridge and Carnival and, you know, Seven Dust, Shinedown, Chevelle. They were into that style of music. And that was where their passion for music was coming from, right? And this producer basically shot him down and was like, nobody listens to this anymore, okay? This is outdated. His voice is not going to compete with the blah, blah. Started just ripping this band apart. For, in my opinion, no reason. And then started to say things like, you need to change your sound up to fit his voice better. His voice is better for soft rock. It's better for alternative rock. And so the band kind of reluctantly was just like, well, I guess if we want to have any shot in this business, we should just change our identity and change our sound. And that's what they did. And you could tell when they were singing their songs that it wasn't really here. But that first song of the set, they were like, yeah, we're doing it. Energy, it's awesome. And then the rest of the set was kind of just like, let me just kind of get through this. And the audience can tell. And I felt bad for them because it wasn't their fault. They were falling prey to what they've been told they should do, which is listen to people who are further along than them. And that guy happened to just give them some terrible advice. Because, yeah, the mainstream genre wasn't that kind of hard rock. But that's ignoring the fact that we live in the internet social media age where there is, to an extent, this still exists. I'm not going to deny that. But the idea of the superstar that dominates the world, like a Michael Jackson, or even like a Nirvana or something, those days are over. Let me be very clear for y'all. The days of the one artist who is known globally and is a part of every major mainstream thing, I'm telling you that's coming to an end. What's happening is people get online and they self-segregate. Okay? They self-segregate into these communities of which they're interested in. So while he could say, yeah, people aren't buying millions of rock albums anymore, that's ignoring the fact, this is like 2015, that's ignoring the fact that most people aren't buying records, period, and that people who are into hard rock are actually congregating into a little spot online that if you were a rock band, you wanted to get those fans, you can have a marketing strategy to get in front of them and actually start to see results. And that's what that band was missing. I wish I remembered their original name, but Days of Heaven, that's one of the things they were missing, is instead of looking at it like, okay, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, I have confidence in my sound, I love playing my sound, I would rather, you kind of have to have the mindset of I would rather play for 15 people who love this sound than 1,500 people who are kind of just like on their phones like, oh, that's cool, it sounds like everybody else, cool. So I get that sort of mindset where people, like I talked about in the beginning, are like, I don't care if anybody likes my music or not. That's good for your grit against the music industry, but that is not good because when you're thinking about it that way, you're almost positioning yourself against your potential fans. Do you understand? When you say, I don't care what other people think about how I don't care to do all the marketing, I just make the music for me, and if people come, they come, and if they don't, they don't. You're positioning yourself as adversarial to your audience. That doesn't make any sense. You're trying to get fans, not stand there above fans and demand why they should look up to you and think you're amazing. That's not how this works. But you need to have that kind of grit mindset against the industry. When the institutions start to come your way and start to go, hey, you need to change this, you need to make sure you get to the chorus by 30 seconds, you need to do this, you need to do this. You need to be able to say, listen, I don't care for what your perception of what my music is supposed to sound like. I know what it's supposed to sound like, okay? So that's one side of it, because it's not just like, you don't have any kind of barriers to what influences what your sound is. You have to have some kind of like, this is who I am. I'm going to stand on that, but I'm also going to be flexible in my approach. I like to think about it like this. There's a term that you've probably heard out there. If not, this is going to be very, very helpful, which is be rigid in your goals, but be flexible in your approach to those goals. So you think about it like, if my goal is to create a certain type of music and become successful with that type of music, that's the goal that you need to stay rigid on. Okay, you can't deviate from the path and be like, well, people don't listen to that anymore. You should go to this other thing. Be rigid on the path that you're trying to pursue. However, how you're going to get there, you need to have some flexibility in your approach. Okay, I had to do the same thing. I got in my band sort of right in the middle of the big shift with Spotify. So I was coming into the industry from the old mindset, got burned enough times in 2014, 15, 16 that I was like, okay, wait a minute. We have to reset, change our perspective, and look at it from a new modern way and market ourselves, not change the music, but change the way we're marketing so that we can attract the right people. And by doing that, one of our most recent videos got like 136,000 views on a short, just because we had figured out what are some of the things that our audience kind of resonates with. You know, they kind of like being goofy sometimes, you know, people in our genre and people who are into the things that we're into, they like South Park and Family Guy and some of these dumb shows that are funny, right? So we can use the fact that we're kind of goofy and watch these shows to attract the people that also are goofy, watch those shows, or into the same things we're into. And so we changed our marketing from this like, we're a rock band and we're cool and you should think we're cool because we're wearing all black and it's very serious. We went from that sort of thing to where, sure, if we go to a photo shoot, we're not going to be like, you know, we'll still do the whole kind of like this, or like you're looking down or you're doing whatever. You know, we'll still kind of do that, but in the marketing, the content that we put out there, sometimes it's serious, sometimes it's playful. And we test these things and figure out what's our audience really working with. So we're flexible in the approach, but we're rigid on the goal. We're not going to change our music for anybody because it's our music. But the marketing, I'll change that up all day to figure out, what does my dream fan need to see from me to be attracted to the music I already desire to make? Does that make sense? Make sure to rewind that back, because that's an insanely valuable point. What does my audience need to see from me so that they are attracted to the music I already desire to make? I had to say it again just because it's so valuable. I want you guys to really take that home. Is you have to look at it from kind of this perspective of, what do other people need? The problem is, as artists and musicians, we get on this mindset of, well, I can't just let the fans determine what kind of music I write. And I would say, exactly. Don't let them determine what kind of music you write. Let them help inform you to which marketing resonates best with them, so that you can leverage that and create the path of least resistance, as opposed to trying to shove a form of marketing down your dream fan's throat that they don't want and have told you they don't want by not liking your videos, not watching the videos, not commenting, not following. They are voting with their engagement. And if they're not engaging, they're telling you this was not as good as you thought it was. John Mayer has this Berkeley lecture that was really good, and one of the things he talked about is people think that the public is dumb. The public is not dumb, because what people do is they write these songs that are, you know what, this is a smart pop song. This is going to blow up. It's going to be a hit. Everyone stand back. Everyone look, there it goes. And then guess what happens? Nothing. Your big smart song went nowhere because you were like, I've got it. And the audience went, I don't think so. Who's smarter than who? As musicians, we can really get up on our high horse sometimes and look down on people that don't like our particular style of music, and we get this sort of upturned nose of like, I create art of the highest quality, and the people who just listen to the other things are beneath me because they don't like my style of music. Yeah, that's pretty repulsive to a big majority of people. So first and foremost, if you want to attract more people, drop that freaking attitude. And I guarantee people are going to want to be around you more. Because no fans want to hear artists complain about the fact they have to create content. No fans want to hear artists complain about the fact that, oh, marketing in the modern music age is hard. Fans only barely care about that. Because to be honest with you, that's all they really should care. Because you decided to be a professional musician. These are the responsibilities and burdens that are put up in front of us if we're going to do this. And so they don't want to hear you complain about how hard it is to do the thing that you love to do. You know how many people have came up to me and said, dude, you're living my dream. And I would respond to them like, I'm living my dream, but it's cool that you had the same dream. Why didn't you do it yourself? And that comes with those excuses. Oh, I wanted to do this, and I wanted to do this, and da-da-da-da. Hey, everyone's got their own path, so no judgment. But we need to stop looking at this of like, the public is dumb, and if they don't just recognize my genius, then I'm only going to just keep doing what I'm doing to attract all the geniuses, and all the dumb people can just not like my music. I guarantee you're setting yourself up for failure. You're just setting yourself up for failure. And it takes a little bit of humility to say, I am going to present myself a little differently so that I can attract the right people. Now, presenting yourself differently doesn't mean putting on a costume that isn't who you are. What it means is turning the parts of your personality up to 10 that would attract the right people. I've used this analogy a million times and I will continue to use it, but like professional wrestlers, they have charisma just getting in front of a microphone and talking to a group of people, right? How do they do that? People like Chris Jericho, Stone Cold Steve Austin or whatever, they just take their personality and crank it to 10. And then as a result, they're these kind of attractive, charismatic figures in that universe, right? So you have to look at it like, what are the personality traits that, I'm going to add to what I said before. What are the personality traits that I can crank up that my dream fans need to see from me to be attracted to the music I desire to make? You see how it kind of evolves from that? So hopefully you understand that it's not that... Now, let me put something out here. Some musicians have music out there that is subpar in quality. I'm not hating because I did the same thing when I was very first starting. So there's no shade. It's just the reality. But here's the thing. Don't change your music. Just get better. You understand? If you're in the beginning phases and your music is kind of, subprime, so to speak, then what you need to do is not think like, it's not working, I need to change. No. Dig in deeper and just get better. Get better, don't change. Also, get better, don't get bitter. You understand what I'm saying? That's a quote from Chris Coleman. Shout out to him. But yeah, get better, not bitter. Let's dive into the second thing that I wanted to talk about today, which is, does it actually make sense sometimes to change your sound? Actually, there's a couple of scenarios that I believe changing your sound actually makes sense. So for some of y'all that have been like, Dax, I hear what you're saying through this stuff, but I really still feel this inclination that I need to change my sound. Well, if this fits the two scenarios, or the two things I'm going to talk about, if these fit you, then maybe you should change your sound. So the first thing is you have a change personally in your taste, right? Maybe you have some big life changes. I like to use the band Shinedown as an example, where the first 4 records had a certain edge to them because the singer, Brett, was going through stuff personally that created that edge. And plus, they were just kind of focused more genre-ly because of that edge on heavier music. But once Brett got clean, had started like building this success for himself and getting clean and sober, it didn't make sense to write the same kind of songs. He was in a different headspace. So he started having interest in more like Miley Cyrus pop songs and these other pop artists that were popping off at the time, and decided, I want to make some more music like that. That's what I'm interested in. At that point, I can't sit there and say, you shouldn't be able to change your sound. Artists evolve, and that's kind of the second scenario. It's like, it's either you had like a big personal life change and your tastes have just shifted, or it's a natural evolution of your project. So let's say your project has been doing a certain sound for a minute and you're looking to just evolve the project. Changing it up sonically is a great way to do that, especially if you have some more interests musically that are not being fulfilled with your current genre configuration, we'll call it. So those two scenarios, I'm like, cool. If you've had this big change and like this style of music just doesn't resonate with you personally like it used to, then you should feel no obligation to continue to make that music. And then maybe you just are tired of doing the same thing. Like to me, I've never understood how Breaking Benjamin doesn't get tired of writing the same album 5, 6, 7 times in a row. But guess what? They've got their fan base that is like, here it is, another Breaking Benjamin record that sounds just like Breaking Benjamin, no changes, love it. And then you got the other half that is like, oh great, another Breaking Benjamin record that sounds exactly like the last one. You can't please everybody. So if you feel the need to evolve, evolve. Don't not evolve due to pressures of what your audience may or may not say. Evolve because you want to evolve, but don't evolve under pressure of change from the fans. Okay? Hopefully you guys have been getting the kind of crux of this is like change is not always a bad thing, but it's the perception of change. Are we changing the music because other people, like are we just changing the music because our vanity metrics don't look good on social media? That's a bad reason to start changing your sound. But have you been doing this for 10 years and you kind of want to switch it up? Okay, that's a good reason to try to change your sound. And I don't see anything wrong with that. Number 3, let's dive into this last little thing. Okay, so what are some actionable tips that you can use to start changing your marketing and attracting the right people into your music business? First things first, double down, okay? If you're a rock artist, be a rock artist. If you're a country musician, be a country musician. And I'm not talking about like you can't blend genres. What I'm talking about is like who you are. Maybe you're a, what's the word I'm looking for? You're an Alaskan folk black metal polka. I don't care. Whatever your genre is, double down on it, okay? And then figure out the aspects of your personality that you can crank up. This looks like this is a bad motion. I'm thinking stupid. I'm being immature. What you need to do is crank up those aspects of your personality that will attract the right people into your music business and just own it. Double down on it. And by doing this, you will, secondly, find your tribe. Now, if you haven't found your tribe just through positioning and content organically, right? I've been putting the content out there. I've got this new image that's promoting my sound a different way. I'm trying to get it in front of the right people. I don't feel like the algorithm's putting it in front of the right people. You have to identify where those people are self-congregating online. So if you can figure out where they're self-congregating, you know where to put your music and marketing materials in front of, as opposed to wasting it on a bunch of whole other things that your dream fans aren't even hanging out at, right? So like some people are like, I'm going to go promote on Blue Sky. I'm like, are your dream fans on Blue Sky? Then why would you go do that? Why would you go take more time out of your already busy schedule to do this thing just because you feel an obligation to? You know what I'm saying? Like, no. Find the tribe that is into what you're already doing or something close to it, and figure out how you can position your marketing material in front of those people, as opposed to, like I said, just putting it in front of the masses who may be indifferent to it, and that may not be their specific niche that they're trying to fall into. And then the third thing that I'll close this out with is test formats. I know a lot of artists are not getting success because they're posting the same type of format for all their posts. So, for example, some people are just doing performance videos. They're doing the video where the camera's set up here, vertical or horizontal, and they're playing their thing and they're doing their thing, and they're like, cool, that's the video. Hey, sometimes those videos pop off if the right notes and the right scenery and all that stuff are just set up right. But if you've been doing that style of video consistently for a month, 2 months, 3 months, maybe longer for some of y'all, and it's still not consistently seeing results, and you're not seeing any spikes, change it up. Change up a different format. What's another kind of format? I like meme format. Meme format's really fun, where you find a clip of a movie, a clip of a show, a fun meme that's already, like a classic meme that's already circulating on the internet, preferably a video meme, not just like the pictorial memes that are like the comic strip memes. Though that can work too in certain situations, like the Drake, where it's like you can use that meme for your music in certain contexts. Like, let's say, it's like this and it's like metal with country, but then it's like, yeah, country with rock or something, because you're a country rock hybrid band. I don't know, right? So you get the idea. So you can use these different formats. I just gave you one additional one. There's the meme format. There's also the man on the street format, which is where you go out into public and showcase your music in fun, creative ways with the general public. That's another format. There's so many formats, I could not even have the time to list them in this video. There's like 1,000 different formats you could possibly do. So don't be afraid to change the format, because that's you changing your marketing around your music and not changing the music itself. Because hopefully the main thing that you've learned from this is, like what I said in the beginning, it's not that you change your music to be more marketable. You change the marketing around your music to make it more marketable. And if you double down on who you are, be authentically you, but be authentically you on steroids, right? And then find the people who are gonna resonate with that. You find the tribe and you test different formats to figure out what resonates with them. You are going to build a fan base that is actually into what you do, as opposed to you feeling like you have to become someone you're not to attract people who want you to change and don't really accept you for who you are. So I hope you got a lot of value from today's video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to see more content just like this. It really helps out the channel. And if you'd like some one-on-one help implementing this strategy into your own music business, you want to figure out how to attract dream fans who actually want to support you, they want to listen to your style of music, then apply for a one-on-one coaching call in the link in the description. We have some limited spots available, so you can check that out if that's something that's a good fit for you. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you on another video inside of Musicians Ignite. Take care.